Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our post-match press conference. We've got the Lions head coach and captain. We'll open the floor for questions here on the floor first, and then we'll go online. And guys online, can I ask that you all mute yourselves, please? There's an echo coming through. If you can please all mute yourselves. We'll then take the first question on the floor. Ken?
Ivan, is it fair to say that a bit frustrating that your lineouts weren't as good as your scrums were, and do you also feel that you were a bit unlucky in the scrums, a couple of key penalties when you were on attack going against you in the second half?
Hi Ken, I think we felt we had scrum dominance, to then not always feel like you get reward, obviously it's a little bit frustrating, and then lineout was we don't have 5 2-meter locks jumping out there, to be honest. So I think again, it's small execution at small moments. Sticking to system or just being 2% off system was the difference there.
Ivan, that first off, the Lions showed a lot of promise, 6-0 up. Did you feel that, obviously guys were in the game, did you feel that you just needed a few more points to get your tails properly in the air?
Yeah, I just spoke to Joey downstairs and he said that first 20-30 minutes they really felt the pressure. I think that speaks a lot about our group. We had a tough week, verbally and physically, and to get that kind of reaction that first 20-30 minutes really speaks a lot of where we are as a group in terms of growing and evolving, if I can say that. If we could manage probably another 2 penalties, another 6 points, I think the pressure, the momentum that last 10-15 minutes could have been a little bit different. Again, we made 2 territorial errors which brought them back into the game there, so well done to them capitalizing on that. Again, stick discipline and system is probably the biggest lesson we take from today.
Cash, obviously very unfortunate for Emmanuel now, but just given how quickly PJ had to slot in, at my side and stuff, he had a very good game actually. And I saw he actually scrummed a bit in his favourite lock position as well. Just how did you feel he went, just given how quickly he had to, shift from being out of the match squad to being in, or at least at the starting line?
Yeah, Hans, to be honest, there's a couple of players that is very young, not very experienced, and are really putting up their hands. And Parks today was one of them. This morning when we found out that unfortunately Men was not going to make the game, luckily he was involved in the week for Parks, but the ability to switch on game day and bring that kind of performance speaks a lot about his character and what he stands for. We know he's physical, and he showed that today. And he's like Ruan Stroili, Ruan Venter, Parks, they could all kind of double up as a 4-7 option for us. And that's currently where we are.
Simon, and then Ken.
Dan ek wil hierdie vir jou Afrikaans vra. Daar was maar 3-3 Kenia aangeteken, maar dit het gelyk asof julle die verdediging aansienlik beter is. Jacques het ook vroeër in die week gepraat oor soos ek jy nou van gepraat het, dit was 'n moeilike week en dit was dat julle ook dan moes uitsorteer by die spelers. Julle verdedigingspatroon het die bulle op 'n stadium baie geneutraliseer, gelyk of julle het geplaas. Is dit obviously is dit doel waarmee jy kom en is dit voortaan is meer uitsien hoe julle stap terug of gaan julle maar wedstryd vir wedstryd?
Simon, om eerlik te wees, ek dink dis net in die area wat van Junie af die meeste gegroei het. So dis ek dink hoekom ons laasweek so in die gesig gevat was, want ons het hulle momentum gegee en met momentum dan is dit moeilik om regtig jou systeem op hulle af te forceer. So ek gaan nie sit as ons tevrede met die 3-3 afgestaan nie, maar ons kan wel sê, ek dink soos ons maar sê, intent, die wil om te duik, die wil om die draai te werk teen 'n groot fisiese bullespan, was vandag aansienlik beter geweest. Ons het hulle met baie gedeeltes van die wedstryd met ons verdediging onder druk gesit. En ek dink dis hoekom ons in die scraps gebly het. So baie beter met daai opset. Dit is een van die steunpilare waarop ons pad vorentoe wil bou. So een ding wat ek nie vandag kan sê nie, ek kan nie sit vandag en sê intent was nie goed nie. hart was te goed geweest nie. Ons was bietjie lui geweest of ons lyk moeg. Ek dink regtig die ouens het regtig groot omkeer gehad.
We'll take Ken's question, 2 more after that, and then we'll go online.
Okay, just following up on that, I mean, that defense created opportunities for you guys. Did you kind of feel that you had enough opportunities in the game to actually win the game, but just execution let you guys down at key moments?
Yes, definitely. We spoke about defense probably the whole week, and we worked real hard. I think the guys' shoulders felt it a bit this week, which is good. That's how you fix mistakes. And yeah, me and Coach spoke about it on the way here. We probably created enough opportunities, but it's just the small detail, the small mistakes that we're still letting ourselves down. If we can fix that, it will be a whole different story, because we really felt we gave ourselves enough opportunities to convert pressure into points, which we didn't do.
Yes.
Ek weet jy het 'n bietjie kat in die hoek gegooi toe jy erken het dat attitude was nie 100% wat dit moet wees nie. En dit was duidelik vandag maar rustig gewees die ouens dus vir rugby wat het verander en hoe van die verantwoordelikheid as partye weet van om daai verander te doen.
Ja, Jessie, dis nooit lekker om sulke goed te sê nie, maar dit help ook nie mense sit in die kleedkamer en jok vir mekaar en sê hoorie, dis dit en dat nie. So ons het mekaar in die oë gekyk en ons het maandag die houe gevat in die video sessies en almal was uitgewys wat uitgewys moes word en ons het daaraan gewerk. En ek dink as 'n groep, as jy as 'n speler dit nie kan vat, nie daai positiewe kritiek kan vat en daarin kan werk nie, glo ek nie jy behoort nie 'n professionele era nie. So ons het regtig hard daaraan gewerk die week en ons het mekaar in die oë gekyk en gesê die tellbord gaan dalk nie aan ons kant wees partymal nie, die dinge gaan dalk nie na ons kant toe gaan partymal nie, maar een ding wat nooit weer gequestioned word is effort en intent nie, en ek dink die ouens het regtig goed gedoen vandag.
Last one from the floor.
Jou loskakel het 'n groot verskil gemaak veral op die swaarder veld met daai landskoppe waar 'n ou nie hele kan kom waar jy moet speel wat jy wil agter dit verskil gemaak, maar wat beteken dat ou so loskakel op 'n span wat baie spesifieke manier speel?
Ja, Koos, ek dink ons het geweet, maar nie dat ons enigstens ons wat in die toekoms kan sien, maar ons het gedink dit gaan redelik reën. Ook die groot les wat ons laasweek geleer het in die bulle is môre na hulle as jy fout maak, hou jy in jou kwart van. So ek dink dit was duidelik dat ons redelik meer gebiedsvoordeel gehad het vandag en dan help dit teen met 'n bal 60-70 meter ver kan skop uit die hand uit of van die kegel af, maak dan obviously verskil. So ek dink hy was goed geweest rondom ons game management vandag was aansienlik beter as laasweek geweest. En soos Ken sê, dis dan een kritiese fout in die 22 of net buite uit, iemand wat uit die systeem uit gaan verskil eerder. So ek dink oor die algemeen vandag was ons beheer van die spel en ons speel beter uit.
Okay, we'll go to the guys online. Ashfaq, we see your hand is up. You can kick us off, sir.
Hi, goeiemiddag, Ivan en Jaco. Jaco, daar was baie gesê in die week nou van die ouens se attitude en dit en hulle het nou die hard gewys. Maar wat is nou die volgende stap? Jy was betrokke by baie suksesvolle leeuspanne in die verlede. Wat dink jy nou kan die ouens nou nog doen in terme van tegniese goede of net hulle spelpyl?
Ja, dit is lekker om te sien die ouens het terug gereageer op laas naweek en hulle het regtig hard gewys. En ja, as 'n groep moet ons nou net by mekaar bly en ons weet ons kan baie meer klinies wees as wat ons was vandag. Soos ek vroeër gesê het, ons het in die regte plekke van die veld gekom. Ons het net nie altyd afgerond soos wat ons wou nie. Ek meen, die bulle kom 2 keer in jou 22 en hulle teken 2 keer punte aan. Ek glo as ons streef na daai kliniese spel, dan gaan ons groei as 'n groep en ja, as die challenge vir ons nou op die oomblik is nie om individueel te raak nie, maar om saam te bly as 'n groep en die spelers met die coaches volg en ja, dan gaan ons glo ek sukses bereik.
I don't see any hands. Are there any other questions from the guys online? Everyone good? No additional questions on the floor? All good. Coach, Captain, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, gents. We'll have Coach Jake coming up shortly. Good evening, ladies and gents. We've got Director of Rugby of the Vodacom Bulls, Mr. Drake White. We'll start with questions here on the floor. First question, please, Quibus.
Not the greatest game, but
Yeah.
must be happy with the.
Yeah, Kobus, I mean, I just said to the players, no, we'll never get arrogant about, you get 9 points against the Lions in 2 weeks, considering where we were. You know, we would have taken it. You know, I mean, remember a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when we were coming into the change room here, you know, we had to find a way to jump up the log. So, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously like a bonus point, but we mustn't get ahead of ourselves. I think we had enough chances. We didn't score, and you know, we can't now. You know, look at the game. We'll have to. I mean, Kane and Moody, folks, at the end, they kicks the ball out. I mean, Shane, guys, a 19-year-old guy, he says, when I asked him, why did you kick it out? He says, I felt like I was isolated, you know. So, I mean, it's the right answer. You know, if he's on his own there, he's probably thinking, you know. So, yeah, I mean, it isn't ideal. I'd like to have got a bonus point, especially not because it's the Lions, because we had set it up nicely to get a bonus point. That's why I say, you know, so. But you know, I'm not going to get too hard on the guys. 9 points in 2 weeks and jumped up the ladder. Now we've got massive game against the Sharks, and then we go to Zebra. So, yeah, I mean, we still got our destiny in our own hands as we go along.
Jack, that first quarter was torrid for you guys. Obviously, you want to play expansively. You want to be ball in the hand.
Yeah.
Did you feel though that sometimes the guys maybe didn't earn the right first to go wide? They were a bit quick to.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing enough, you know, is if Kirtley gets that pass away early on when he slips, there's an overlap. If Ulrich doesn't lose the ball in the tackle there and he makes a pass, there's an overlap. So if I go to them and say, listen, please guys, be more direct, then they're never going to pass, you know. So yeah, I thought we played quite nicely in the beginning. We just didn't finish. I mean, there was enough opportunities. What we actually did, Ken, is we thought with a complete change in their backline and the personnel not understanding each other, if we could put them under pressure early, you know, there's no use getting conservative and let them grow in the game. So that was the thinking, you know, when we started the fixture. So I can't now say to you, no, we were wrong by pulling the trigger. I thought that was, you know, the more we could have put the outside backs under pressure because they all knew, and I'm saying new as a combination for this week, the better it would have been for us. So, yeah, I still think that if Kirtley gets away there and makes a nice pass, you know, Kanan could score. And then, as I said, Ulrich in the beginning when he was running there and he lost the ball in contact. Yeah, I think if he had shifted it there, it was enough numbers for us to get a little bit more gain line down the side.
You guys were under the pump a bit in the scrums early on, and
Yeah.
I mean, you had half a dozen handling errors, as you said, in the first 15 minutes. So.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the scrums though, because a couple of weeks ago when we had Mornay Smith playing, they said there's a thing called cranking. And I thought cranking is when the prop goes like this, and then like this, and then like this. I thought you're not allowed to do that. No? Well, we were told you're not allowed to do that. So obviously, maybe they forgot that law for a while today.
Simon, Jake, you did score 3 tries, and it must be frustrating not to score that extra bonus. And having said what you've just listened to what you've said regarding Kirtley as well as your expansiveness in the base, do you think to some extent they inhibited your play as far as in your choices, as far as looking towards their sort of maybe it's sort of a strangled defense that they sometimes executed?
Yeah, I think they also did a very good job of making it as scrappy as possible,
Yes.
Off their feet and playing the ball on the ground and, getting turnovers like that. I thought at times they didn't roll away from the tackle. I mean, there were about 5 or 6 phases we were going hard at their line and struggling to get the ball out the back of the ruck. So, but, let's be fair, that's how they played and they, they came close to getting a result. So, yeah, Simon, I just said to the players after the game as well, there's no use now saying this happened and that happened. And, we're going to play games like this again in the next couple of years. We're going to get, an official overseas that's going to ref differently or is going to interpret things differently. And we've got to find a way to be good enough to get a bonus point when we're in that situation or win a game when we're under the pump. So, yeah, it's I'm sort of jumping around and saying that their style probably didn't allow us. I thought the rain came at a time as well. If you consider we were 6-0 down for 20 minutes, and at one stage we were 21-6 up. So that meant that in that sort of middle block of the game, we went like 21-0. You can't be upset about that. We must have been doing something right.
it took you 26 minutes to score the first.
Correct. But then we had so many chances in the beginning as well, you know. Yeah.
Heinz?
Jacob, just not trying to take away, you know, from any other individual performances, but given that it was the official man of the match, when Madosh came to Loftus, he was still pretty much a winger that was a finisher. I mean, he scored 4 tries for the Lions against them.
Yeah.
But in a more traditional sort of like game like this, or the conditions where ideally now, are you chuffed with his development as an all-round winger now? Because he's a guy now that not just finishes and tries to take the initiative, he does his basics well and he looks to work with.
Exactly that answer. I'm very happy with him. And I'm happy as well because he's starting to communicate. You know, I think when he got here, he was a little bit, I suppose, young and shy. And the more he's played and the more confidence he gets, now he talks. You know, and you get a guy like Kirtley at fullback, or you get Kanan, that's a youngster, and he's helping them, you know, with communication. So, I mean, you know, as you say, you don't want to single out any players when you're a coach, but his growth has been significant, and I think everyone's seen that. So, you know, the challenge now is to make sure we keep improving it. But you know, I'm very happy that he said to me one man of the match. I said, "How do you get that without scoring a try?" But anyway, I mean, it's.
We'll take 2 more from the floor.
Yes.
You mentioned the Sharks, looking at the lot currently.
Yes.
It's boiling down to a mini URC final for the South African teams.
I think you're right. You know, next week's a final. Because I think, you know, we've lost to them at home. We their place, we didn't get a point. And I mean, to be fair, you know, you got to win your derbies. And if you lose twice in a derby, then you know, it's like a little bit like the Heineken Cup. You play those 6 games when I was overseas. Once you lose 2 of those, if you lose the home and away one to somebody, you put yourself behind the 8 ball. So yeah, it is. It's like I suppose it is. It's like a little mini final. We've got to make sure we're good enough at home to beat them.
Ken?
So just going back to Madosh, I think the last game here against the Stormers, he had a really tough time in that game. But I guess it's proof again about backing guys and continuity in selection. That instead of saying, right, you had a bad game, you out, backed him, and he's actually had two good games now. I guess it's not just me that applies to all of it.
Yeah, Ken, you know me a long time. I'm big on keeping the team together as long as I can. I mean, obviously you want to make some changes to keep the energy levels up and give some players hope. You know, there's no use never picking someone. I think all players just want to have a bit of hope. You know, they don't want to train and then never get the chance. So, you know, you've got to balance hope for a player, but you also got to try and find a way that you can stay cohesive. And you know, one of the examples I use week in and week out is Lionel and Harold must have played, I want to almost say 100 games together. They've played 3 Super Rugby finals. I mean, the hours they've probably practiced together in the time that they were contracted at the Lions, and is much bigger than I suppose any centre combination in South Africa. And that gives us confidence. You know, it gives the players confidence, gives the team confidence. And I'm sure it helps for a guy like Madosh as well. You know, man of the match outside those 2 centres, and a guy like Mornay who's, you know, been in this stadium for so many years. I think it helps a lot of those players when you keep that sort of cohesion going as well, you know. So, you know, I think it's a spin-off of everything, I think.
We'll go to the guys online. Ashfaq, you up.
Hi, Jake. You spoke earlier about the attacking intent. That you must actually be happy with the fact that the guys actually pushed the envelope. You know, they tried things, and yes, the execution wasn't there, and the wet weather contributed to that, but just the mindset. Yeah,
that's right. That's what I was saying earlier. You know, I challenged them a bit this week, and I said, you know, once we got to see their backline, I said, well, look, guys, if they're not gonna, you know, have a backline that's settled, then the only way to put them under pressure is to have a go at them. You know, and you know, we had a go, and we knocked a few on. Kirtley lost the ball in the contact, and you know, I think a couple of times we could have maybe built a little bit more pressure, but you know, what I don't want is to go back in our shells and then just start playing conservative rugby and, you know, kicking the ball and hoping for a mistake. So yeah, it's pleasing, but I'm sure that as we get to play better and better, and as we play together more and more often, then at least then, you know, we probably see some more signs of where we want to go as a group.
Because I just want to follow that up. Obviously, the bigger picture is becoming title contenders, and you've spoken about Leinster and the other Irish sides who are really at the top of their game. What will it take to get to that point? Perhaps just a bit more patience with ball in hand and and
Yeah.
handling weather, referees, all those kind of things?
Yeah, the one thing that is going to take is time. And, I don't want to sound philosophical, but you can't speed up time. So it takes time. I said this week, Crusaders came last in 96 in the Super Rugby competition. They ended up becoming the most dominant Super Rugby team through the lessons they learned. You couldn't fast track. Ruan Nokia is young, Grobbies is young, you got that. I mean, I say it every week to you, Ulrich is young, and I'm saying young age-wise and experience-wise. There's a completely different competition to what we used to. And I know we're playing local derbies, but still, I mean, the reality is the margins are so small. I mean, today we were, 20 minutes away from getting a bonus point, and who knows, maybe that bonus point comes back to bite you. But we got to make sure that next year, when we have a group that's a bit older and have a group that's been in those situations, they learn from them.
Any other questions?
Sorry, Jamani. Congratulations, coach. Jack. Kan ek net vra net jy het in Engels gepraat van jou span se veggies na die eerste 20 minute. Net in Afrikaans, hoe beskryf jy daai veggies van jou span en hy blok wat jy verduidelik het na die eerste 20 minute?
Ja, ek het nie gehoor veg, wat is dit?
Veggies, jou span se veggies.
Nee, ek het nie gesê, maar wat ek bedoel is jy weet, ek is bly dat hulle ten minste probeer het om die ander span onder druk te sit. Jy weet, ek dink die styl wat ons probeer speel is, en ek sê dit weer, jy weet, gaan nooit URC wen 9-6 nie. Jy gaan nie daai games 9-6 kan wen nie. Jy weet, ek dink jy moet bonuspunte kry en jy moet ten minste 3 kan druk. Jy weet, as jy nou kyk, I mean die gemiddelde games is almal teken omtrent 21 punte aan, en ons kan nie, soos ek sê, minder as 21 aanteken nie, en dan moet jy seker maak die ander span kry nie meer as 21 nie. So ja, ek is, soos ek sê, ons is nie tevrede dat ons nie 'n bonuspunt gekry nie, maar ek wil nie ook arrogant wees nie. Jy weet, dis 'n nuwe span, dis 'n nuwe uitdaging vir hulle. 2 weke terug was ons, jy weet, onder druk. Hierdie iewes skielik 2 weke kry ons 9 punte. Uit 2 games uit, en die Sharks, I mean, was 4 punte weg om te verloor teen die Lions, en hulle die Stormers gewen op jy weet, in die Kaap. So I mean, wys jy net hoe hierdie toernooi is. I mean, dis nie maklik nie.
So ek kan net ook vra in aanleiding van Ashfaq se vraag, as jy tevrede met waar jou span is en nou huidiglik in die kompetisie?
Nee, ek dink nie coaches as ooit tevrede waar hulle is nie. Jy weet, hulle moet bo op die liga wees en dan is jy gelukkig. Maar soos ek sê, ons is nog steeds besig om ons span by mekaar te kry. Ja, ons het baie mense wat nie beskikbaar vir ons is nie. Jy weet, Jacques du Plessis is nie hier nie, Sintu Manjesi is nie hier nie, Monay Smith is nie hier nie, Goosen is nie hier nie. So I mean, op die einde van die dag, jy weet, ons is nou besig om diepte in ons ander posisies en spesifiek in daai posisies te bou.
Last question online. Any takers? Okay, Koos, you had a question?
Ek het ook veel in Afrikaans vra met woorde en woordjies. Mens kry nie, weet jy met 'n persepsie is, mens kry nie idee dat nou sekere skeieregters kan geen span momentum opbou nie. Wedstryd is net sopstaan.
Ja.
En dan is dit vanaand weer die idee gekry.
Ja.
As 'n ou soos Rasta hier in plaas het, so dit waarskynlik heeltemal ander game moet.
Ja.
Hoe hanteer hulle so iets?
Kom ek antwoord die vraag net om te sê dis nie 'n persepsie nie.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So last one, then we call it right.
Okay.
Jake, just on that, without going into detail, I know it was an incident that didn't necessarily have a material effect on the game itself, but that clean out of Karabusadi on Grobbies, for example.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't really matter what the thought process was in this game now, but I mean, in Europe, that probably is going to be a card. But is that the type of discrepancies or discrepancies in philosophies between us and the Northern Hemisphere that makes it difficult for you guys, or is it just another case of one has to adapt? I'm not sure.
The answer to that is exactly that. It is exactly like that, and you've got to be good enough to adapt to whatever happens. You know, you can't cry over spilled milk. I mean, the reality is, well, and I use an example. There's a kick into the in-goal area. Harold Foster's about to go and run and score, and the player runs into the pole, bounces off and runs into his way. When he's on his way to the ball, and he gets penalized because he ran into the guy that got bumped off the pole. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, where does that, now there's no use. I mean, what happens? Where is he supposed to go? If he had ran and hit that guy into the pole, probably would have got carded, you know. So yeah, as I said, I mean, it's so many things that happen, and as I said, as a group, we appreciate that. And I think anybody just wants consistency like that. You know, we don't want a situation where if we're in the same situation, it gets seen differently. You know, I mean, I use that example with Harold. How do you go from almost scoring to giving a penalty? Where I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand where he was supposed to go. I mean, he's trying to get the ball. He's running towards the ball's between the uprights. Someone's picking it up. I mean, I don't know. As I said, for me, there was no common sense about how that was adjudicated from everybody, from the TMO to the. At one stage, I thought we were going to get a penalty because he actually blocked the player getting to the ball carrier, which, you know, in the rule book is obstruction. And it's blown at kickoff time when you're running the way of a guy when he's trying to get to the ball catcher. So, but I'm stressing on the basis that that's the frustration, and we've got to be good enough to actually find a way to take that out of the game. And to be fair, we did. We had enough opportunities without those two things to actually get a bonus point and do the job. So yeah, I don't want to now point fingers at anybody. We'll look at ourselves.
Thanks very much, Coach Jake. Thank you very much, gents. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.